LeBron and the Lakers have shown a killer instinct in these playoffs. 2-0 with a chance to close out a series, not giving the opposition a chance. Dwight Howard is ready for tonight, channeling the Mamba mentality by wearing a number 8 jersey. The Lakers are 48 minutes from the NBA Finals, but the Nuggets are more than comfortable being down 3-1. They've been impossible to finish off. Should make for a fascinating Game 5. Tip-off is at 6 o'clock. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by your Southern California Toyota dealers. Chris McGee, big game James Worthy, big shot Robert Horry, Allie Clifton is here. We got Brez working remotely. We got Trudell down the hall. You'll hear from him in a moment tonight. It is a big one, fellas. Lakers just one win away from going back to the NBA Finals for the first time in 10 years, James.
Thank you, Lord. It's been a long time, Gita, for us, but you know, rightfully so. They work for it. You know, this organization had to make some changes. You know, Rob and Jeannie, you know, they really did a good job of really getting us back on path, bringing in LeBron, AD, and now they're nourished a pretty good team, and here we are in the playoffs. Unfortunately, it's in the bubble, but nevertheless, it's been pretty good watching it from the bubble. I think people got used to it. Television audience, and so here we are, back in the playoffs, Rob.
I think what you missed, James, is the most important piece. The guys that can fit in with AD and LeBron, because you need guys like Rondo, you need guys like KCP and Danny Green, who have that veteran leadership, who've been to the mountaintop, who won championships, that can bring some stability to this team, because there are moments where you need that. LeBron's going to get a little bit erratic, AD's going to get erratic, but you got a guy like Rondo, who's a superb, captain to slow everything down and bring it back together. So you need those pieces. So you have to thank Jenny and Rob for doing that also. Not just those two big dogs, but the little dogs too.
Rob, this list might look familiar for you. These are the most wins facing elimination. The 2020 Nuggets are at the top. They're 6-0 when facing elimination. The 94 Nuggets were 6-1, but there are the 95 Rockets, 5-0. That team went on to win a championship. I believe it was your second title. Was that your first time?
That was my second title. Yeah.
You went back to back.
Went back to back. Yes, sir.
Back to back. So the jobs, yeah, you know what? At practice yesterday, the Lakers discussed the opportunity to close out the Nuggets tonight.
Our group's demeanor in all of these playoff games has been to treat everyone like a must-win. And, you know, I would say that same mindset has applied to the closeout games we had against Houston and Portland. And we know those are always the most difficult wins to get in a series, and you know we expect this to be no different.
You guys know about Denver's history with the 3-1 leads and how dangerous they've been in that position. What's sort of your mentality? What do you think the team mentality is approaching this Game 5?
It's simple. The job is not finished.
Anything that you have discussed about sort of making sure that you finish the job?
Go out there and dominate from first quarter to fourth quarter. Don't worry about the refs. Don't worry about missed shots. Just go out there and do what we do best and play Laker basketball and get a good win.
Job not finished. A little homage to Kobe Bryant right there from Dwight. Kobe said that in 2009, facing Dwight in the finals when they were up 3-1. The Nuggets have done this before. Just ask the Clippers and the Jazz. What mindset, Rob, is needed to close out a series? What do the Lakers need to do early in a game like this to set the tone?
You know, you have to come out and attack early. You got, you know, people always say, what are you going to do? Well, you got to sit back and watch. No, when you got superstars like AD and LeBron, you attack the basket. You try to get them in foul trouble. You try to put the onus on the refs to say, you know, we've been aggressive. We're not going to sit back and float around the three-point line and do these things so they can be the aggressive one and get all the calls, because you know, people always talk about momentum. Momentum can go on the ref side, too, meaning when the players are being aggressive, they're more likely to give that team fouls than you will the other team. So I need to come out with some aggression, go into the basket. None of this, you know, cute stuff, shooting threes and doing fallback. Be aggressive and attack.
And, James, it's easy sometimes to relax up 3-1 because you have a little separation while the other team is in do-or-die mode, survival mode from the opening tip. So Lakers got to come out ready to go.
Especially the Nuggets, who have a track record. Yeah. I mean, we were joking after the last game that Denver has the Lakers right where they want them right now, down 3-1, based on what they did against the Clippers and Oklahoma. But in addition to what Rob said, what you have to constantly remind yourself of during the playoffs is, what are you desperate for? You know, when you're up 3-1, yes, it is easy to relax a little bit, but you remind yourself, what are you desperate for? And that's a championship. And you don't want to spend any extra time when you're up 3-1. Yeah, you got 3 games to close it out, but you only want to use one of those games. And that's what Rob said. Come out with aggression, come out like you're behind, and take care of business. And then you go on from there.
I want to show you guys the numbers for AD and Jokic in the fourth quarter. And Rob, Jokic outside of game 2, remember game 1, 4, you got games 3 and 4, 0-0. So Jokic outside of game 2, Rob, he struggled down the stretch. Do you credit the Laker defense?
I credit the Laker defense because if you watch what they're doing, they're trapping, they're trying to, not let him be the playmaker. And if you think about it, AD is one of the best defensive players on ball. We always talk about his shot blocking ability, but in the fourth quarter, it's mostly AD. He's playing on ball, and he's getting a lot of team help because it's always about help the helper. And also, in the fourth quarter, those legs get a little weird when you got to guard somebody on the other end. When he has to guard AD, and AD's attacking, so it's making him tired. So you want to keep the big fella tired, James.
Yeah, and I know Rob's going to talk about Coach Vogel a little bit in his Take the Shot later on. But I'll tell you what was the beginning of Jokic's demise is when he made the lineup change and put Dwight Howard in there. There's not too many centers in the modern-day game that know how to guard in the post. They all know how to, play and shoot threes and that things. Dwight Howard came in and got physical with this guy. Took his legs out, got in his way. He reminded me of Dennis Rodman. And he was boxing him out, just aggravating him. Now, he made a minor, adjustment, but when somebody's always hitting you around your legs and boxing you out, and that'll tire you down. And so I give a lot of credit to Dwight Howard starting, to know how to get into Jokic and frustrate him a little bit and make him play on both ends.
All right, guys, Lakers with a chance to close it out tonight. Lakers reporter Mike Trudell joins us down the hall to get us ready for Game 5. Mike, how we doing?
What's happening, Geeter? Big Shot, you guys look great, but big game. James, man, you really brought the heat with the outfit today.
Yeah, he's feeling it.
My man, I'm just rolling with the youth movement.
I feel like he's had a great series, Mike, when it comes to his suit game. He really has.
Been on fire. Yeah, there's got to be one of those like Walt Frazier Instagram accounts that starts to monitor James's outfits. He's getting to that status.
He is.
Yeah. Walt was one of a kind, but I appreciate the compliment, brother.
It's looking smooth, man. All right, I'll get on track here. I just felt like that had to be acknowledged, right? How good that looks. So with Frank Vogel, guys, coming up, I want to figure out first, right, how is Anthony Davis's ankle feeling? He gave us an update at practice yesterday and then went a little bit further today. Spoiler, it's pretty good news. And then also want to figure out part of what you guys were talking about with LeBron James and just how ready this team is to play in a closeout game. Well, LeBron has won 15 of the last 16 closeout games that he has played, and his whole point is you have to match, if not exceed, the desperation of the opponent. So that's where we went with Frank Vogel a couple moments ago.
He's good to go. Has some minor soreness, but he's good to go.
All right, hey, Frank, LeBron said that the key to him to a closeout game is trying to match the level of desperation of the opponent. He's been able to do so in his career. I think he's won 15 of his last 16 closeout games. How much of that message can you kind of take and apply to the rest of the team, and how much does it help just having LeBron in the experience going into that kind of game?
Well, obviously, LeBron's experience is invaluable in this situation. I expect our guys to feed off that knowledge, the experience, and obviously he's as good as anyone ever at setting a tone, for your team in the locker room. So, obviously that's going to be a big plus for us. And he's correct. We have to exceed the Denver Nuggets energy, not play as hard as them, not let them play harder than us, but we have to exceed it.
Hey, Frank, it's Bill Oram. Tomorrow will be the 1-year anniversary of the day you guys came together for Media Day, which, yes.
Wow.
That's the answer, probably. But when you reflect on that day and kind of just your emotions of going into that first week together as a team, what jumps out at you? And then Can you put words behind the face you just made to explain what it feels like to have been together as a team for a full year and not even be done yet?
Well, nothing's normal in a pandemic, but this has been one of the most unusual seasons in NBA history, and to see that we're at the 1 year mark is it's surprising, and it's just weird to be quite honest. It's been a long year. The excitement at that time was about what we could be. We knew we had assembled on paper, a really talented team. It really came down to whether we are going to be able to come together and how quickly. That was kind of the mindset at that time. It's how quickly.
33, 5, and 6. His running mate Nikola Jokic 26, 12, and 7. As we take time now to say hello and welcome in Mike Singer from the Denver Post. And Mike, you're there, you've been there, you're inside the bubble covering this Nuggets squad. And so before we get into this series, I have to ask, look, us on the outside, we can read, we can watch. But for you, how much fun has this journey been here in the playoffs covering this team?
It's been so much fun. I mean, honestly, for the last 7 days, I was in quarantine. So I only got out for Game 4. But when I got out, my eyes were wide open. This has just been an unbelievable setup that the NBA has put on. I was just praying that the Nuggets didn't go down 3-0 so I didn't have to look at a 4-0 series sweep for my one game outside of quarantine. But frankly, it is everything that it looks like from the outside. It is that much more spectacular. The show, everything that the NBA has put together, obviously the level of the play has been amazing. And frankly, didn't everyone expect that we were going to be here in some capacity? The Lakers in the conference finals. Maybe everyone thought it was going to be the Los Angeles Clippers, but the Denver Nuggets decided to spoil that party. Here we are again. They're one game away from the NBA finals. I guess we're going to see if they're going to close it out tonight.
And with that said, history could be on your side because Denver, again, finding themselves down 3-1, which is familiar territory. We know the story, we know the narrative, but I got to ask you, being around the team, of course, is the attitude the same as it has been going into their elimination games facing this one, or is it different?
It's absolutely the same. I asked Nuggets coach Michael Malone tonight, and he goes, there's no pressure on us. It's the exact same thing that he has said in games 5, 6, and 7 against the Utah Jazz, games 5, 6, and 7 against the Los Angeles Clippers. After the first round, when the Nuggets made their first 3-1 comeback, they were playing with house money. And at this point, now, even though they're facing elimination for the 7th time this postseason, they feel no pressure. And speaking to the numbers that you just mentioned from Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic, they play like that because they're so loose and relaxed. They don't feel the heat. They were never supposed to be in this position in the first place. The fact that they're here, it should be scary to the Lakers because they don't have anything to lose. If they can extend this to 5, you start hearing the noise, you start hearing the chirping. Maybe it goes 6. Maybe it goes 7. This is why the Lakers want to close this out tonight. They want to nip that in the bud as quick as possible.
We're going to dive into Jamal and Nikola here in just a minute, but I want to talk about something else that has been kind of surrounding this series, the foul situation. Mike, I got to ask you, after Game 3, it was reported that the Lakers complained about the officiating. Now, Frank Vogel said that that was a false narrative, that they actually went through the proper channels. I want to get your take on how teams handle situations as such, and after Game 4, did Denver go through proper channels, or how did they handle what they did not feel was fair officiating in Game 4?
This whole foul narrative is ridiculous. Everything that the Lakers have done, that the Nuggets have done, has been on the up and up. It is commonplace throughout the postseason. This is what teams do. They bluster, they complain, they use the media, they create narratives, they spark narratives. The fact of the matter is, Game 4, the reason why Anthony Davis and LeBron James had 28 free throws combined is because they were the aggressor. That's it. They were the more aggressive team. It benefited them. The Nuggets need to learn to not listen to the whistle. I know that's difficult. I understand that they're facing elimination, and the prospect of going home is very real. But they can't think about it. Nikola Jokic picked up 2 fouls early in the fourth quarter, and it completely threw the rest of the team off. He had to sit. He comes back with 5 minutes left. He's already out of it. So really, they need to not worry about the whistle. Forget about the narratives. The whole submitting plays and clips, that happens. Nothing that the Lakers did was sinister, untoward, nothing out of the ordinary. It's just that people made a big deal of it because they complained LeBron and AD come back and get their free throws. I could not care less about the narrative. It is just commonplace NBA postseason chatter.
That's what I was going to say. I'm with you on that, Mike. It's physical, and the deeper you go in the postseason, that's what you should expect. All right, let's get to Jamal Murray because he's been a sensation, a rising star here in the postseason. The other night, of course, he had a couple of spectacular plays, one of which drew a lot of viral attention because it was one invoking that of Michael Jordan. I want to get your take. You watch him night in and night out. Have you been surprised by some of the things you've seen, or is anything different in your eyes regarding Jamal Murray and what we're seeing here this postseason?
Yeah, it's that Jamal has put together the entire package. Last year, he was somewhat inconsistent. We knew he was a scorer. We knew he was somewhat of a specialist scorer. This year, he is actually leading the Denver Nuggets in assists against the Los Angeles Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. He's averaging 7 assists a night. It's not Nikola Jokic, where everyone would assume. And more to that point, he is a really good rebounding guard. He's averaging almost 5 rebounds a game against all of the Lakers' trees. So the fact that he's put it all together, that he's risen to this moment, that he's risen to this stage. You already spoke about his elimination game numbers. The dude dropped 40 in Game 7 against the Clippers to send them to the conference finals in the first place. He is a big-time player, and it's so interesting because going into this postseason, I don't think that many people had him in that upper tier, that upper echelon of Western Conference guards. And now, after 18 games inside the bubble of what he's done, averaging 26 a game, shooting almost above 50% from the field and almost 47 from 3, it is inarguable that he deserves to be talked about in that same vein after what he's done this playoff run.
This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is why we turn to Mike Singer from the Denver Post to get perspective on the Nuggets heading into yet another elimination series. As always, Mike, thanks for taking the time. Well done. Enjoy the game, especially again outside of quarantine.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Game 5, Lakers and Nuggets of the Western Conference Finals coming up. Straight ahead on Access Playoff.
In the NBA Finals, Kobe Bean at 10. And look who's moved up to number 8. It's Rajon Rondo. The impact in Game 4 on full display in that second half, Rob. What did he do so well? Let's break it down with a little Access 360.
The 360 with Rondo right here shows you why he's a great quarterback for this team. In his 360, you're going to show a multitude of things that he can do very well. Right here, you see he's coming down. He had one of the patented plays. KCP doesn't have an option. He has no play. So he says, you know what, let's back this thing up because, you know what, I see something developing here. Let's run some. KCP, clear out. Let's clear out so I can do this pick and roll with AD so we can have some action because we need some movement. Here he comes off this pick. Look, this is a nice drop pass to AD. AD kind of stumbles, but you know what? He says, well, I'm still here for you, AD, and I'm going to shoot this with a lot of confidence because I'm playoff Rondo. Right there, knockdown 3 from long range. Here, now you got this whole thing. This is one of the prettiest passes you ever will see right here. Rondo, knowing that KCP is going to be, this is in great anticipation, gets that pass to KCP for the left. That is a fantastic pass. Right here, he's quarterbacking, telling everybody get in position. AD comes up, he comes up hard. This is what you got to do. You got to attack. He's putting the defense in on the heels. Okay, what are you going to do? Right here, it's the patented Rondo play. He's been doing it since he got in the league. He fakes the pass to AD because everybody thinks AD is the score and that Rondo doesn't like to score. But pump fake, nice little layup. That was easy too. Pump fake, relocate. That's your favorite line, right?
It really is.
But you know that shows you right there. When you got LeBron on the bench, you need someone that can get that offense moving and grooving like Rondo does.
Great breakdown there, Rob. And James, especially with the way Denver kind of defended LeBron James in that fourth quarter, kind of creating the wall. He was settling a little more for jump shots. It was interesting. We were watching the game together at the end of that fourth quarter, and you wanted the ball in Rondo's hands. What a great option to have, taking pressure off LeBron, so it's a different look. It doesn't have to be him every single time.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, he does take a lot of pressure off LeBron, and when the ball is in Rondo's hand, you know, LeBron's a dynamic player, but there are more options when Rondo has the ball in his hands, too. He knows how to get everyone involved. I think he calculates the defense a little bit better. A lot of people say there are only like two point guards left in this league. You know, CP3 and Rondo. And you talk about his offensive skills, how he's a floor general, Rob. Defensively, he's extremely disruptive. What he was able to do against Harden in the Rocket series, and how he was able to, you know, come in and disrupt because he's just a true point guard that knows how to study his opponent, knows their tendencies, and he just does a great job on both ends of the floor. Went and asked Coach Vogel on that shot that AD hit to win the game. Went up and asked the coach, want me to go and throw it in? Because he knows that he's experienced. And that out-of-bounds passer, that is a serious job to do when you have a little bit of time left. More important than the shot itself, I think. So I think Rondo's just, he's done it all since he's come back.
One day Rondo's going to be a coach.
One day.
One day. All right, we're about a half hour from tip-off. Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. Michael Porter Jr. is a tough cover. He's averaging 13 points, 56% shooting in the Western Conference Finals. He has a bright future ahead, just 22 years old. And next on Access, Dwight Howard made a huge difference. RJ's on that list. Allie, 35 years old in 2016. He had 8 and 8. Dwight Howard, age 34, 8 points, 8 rebounds. 4 of those were offensive. At practice, Dwight explained what his mindset was heading into his first start of the postseason.
Well, just try to go in and be a star in my role, play great defense, get as many rebounds as I can, control the paint, and make sure take pressure off the rest of the guys on the floor on the defensive end by just being active, communicating, and making sure we get a stop every time down or force them to one shot.
The first 8 minutes or so in the first quarter, it seemed like, your energy was even, I think, at a different level than typical. Do you think any of that had to do with kind of the news that you were going to start? Was that something that you caught, that you decided, like, I need to come out and really make myself felt in this game? And how did you balance sort of that energy with trying not to foul, too?
Just, like I, said earlier, just using your intelligence against a guy like Joker. Obviously, the way he plays is different from what, us bigs have been accustomed to in the past. So playing without fouling, playing without being too physical and aggressive at times, especially early in the game, was key. Also knowing that early in the game he doesn't want to pick up quick fouls, so just being aggressive on the offensive glass and just trying to get every rebound. So it doesn't matter if I start, if I come off the bench, if I play 5 minutes, I'm always going to have high energy and give this team any boost I can, even if I'm sitting on the bench.
Rob, Game 3, Jokic had 11 points in the first quarter, 5 of 7. In Game 4, with Dwight getting the start, he only had 1 field goal attempt in that first quarter. What did he do to disrupt that?
Well, the way Dwight plays, he plays with a physicality that a lot of guys don't know how to play with. And plus, like James always says, he knows how to play defense. And we forget, he was a defensive player of the year before, 3 times. And he knows how to move his body. And if you watch Jokic when he's in the post, Jokic is very slick at trying to use his elbow to get you and to move you out of the way so he can get position to score. He can't do that with Dwight because Dwight is too strong. He's too physical. And plus, Dwight kind of keeps his body away from his body because he can block shots. And that's the thing they understand, that Dwight understands, that he can keep his body away from when he needs to. He can rough him up when he also needs to. So that's the mind of a great defensive player. And Dwight's not getting enough credit for his knowledge as a defensive player, not just, blocking shots.
Physicality can really disrupt a superstar's game, can't it, James?
There's no question. For those who remember Dennis Rodman, Dwight Howard is a modern-day Dennis Rodman because he has the psychological tactics to go along with the physicality. If you're trying to get from A to B and he just gets in your way, hits you with an elbow, that disrupts you, and you have to, compete with that and get aggravated. The other thing I love that he does is when the ball is on the outside, 4 seconds before that shot goes up, he is working down in that paint. He is beating the hell out of people down there. And, he takes your legs away from you. Boxing out is a old thing. Guys don't hardly do it anymore. But when Dwight Howard puts his butt into Jokic's, hips, that takes a lot out of you. And, there's a reason why shots fall a little short. Sometimes you don't want to get hit again. So I give Dwight Howard a lot of credit for setting the tone in the game that he started, because he really competed and did exactly what he was brought here to do.
And it was contagious. Rob, you look at the second chance points, and we're going to break it down with a little Access 360. The Lakers had 25 second chance points. That's the most they've had in a playoff game 8 years, 2012. That's a long time. They were plus 19 in that category.
Well, if you go back and look at the game they lost, it's like nobody was even trying to attempt to get offensive rebound. But in this 360, I'm going to show you what they're doing to get themselves ready to offensive rebounds, because you got to be in position right here. You see Dwight setting his pick. He's like, a lot of times guys would get frustrated because Dwight, back in the day, he would get frustrated. He didn't get this ball because he deserved this ball. But you know what? He says, I'm just going to get the offensive rebound if it comes off. I'm going to get in, settle in, and go back up with an easy 2. And that's the sign of a guy who's maturing and knows the game back here. Look at AD coming down to the basket. He's not giving up. He sees the shot. He boxes out. And people got to understand, you can box out on the offense end, which just causes the defense to collapse. But look at this. This is what I always tell kids. Get to the elbows. What did Rondo do? Get to the elbow to get the offense rebound back up to AD. The AD passes out, and now you know what? Oh, you know what? Now I'm going to go this. You know what? I got a guy who cannot guard me on the post, on the wing, anywhere in this gym. So I'm going to raise up for a 3, and I get fouled. So that's things, second chance points. That's what here, this is a smart thing. Look at Dwight. I want y'all to see what Dwight does here. Dwight doesn't get the ball, but he allows someone else to get. He causes a lot of havoc. Look at everybody. Everybody's trying to converge on him to get this rebound and stop him to get. But everybody forgets. Someone has to get the shooter. No one gets the shooter. Probably one of the most dynamic players to ever play this game, LeBron James. You don't box him out, he gets an easy bucket. That's what you have to do in the NBA. You have to do this in the playoffs, and you have to go out there and attack the basket and get second chance points and get some easy buckets in the paint.
Great breakdown.
That was so good, I don't have anything to say.
You enjoyed it that much.
I just think Rob.
But you saw the guys doing work early. You just talked about that.
Working early, man. Yeah. Rob is absolutely right, man. He's old school, he's strong. And sometimes all you have to do, like he did on that rebound, is flash in, and you're creating opportunities for other people. He's massive. Reminds me a little bit of Moses Malone when he gets down in that paint. He just beats people up, throws people around. Next thing you know, 2 points or a dub.
Lakers calendar. Here's the remaining schedule. Lakers Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. All you need to know is that tonight is Game 5 at 6 o'clock on TNT. So you'll turn the channel right at 6, and then you'll come back to us after the game. We'll worry about Game 6 and 7 if necessary later, but they will be on Monday and Wednesday. Time now to bring in Allie Clifton and our Laker insider Mike Bresnahan with more.
Thanks so much, Geeter. Time for Brez's three-point play. 3 things that you are looking forward to, Brez, in this game. And hey, we begin with head coach Frank Vogel. He may not be wearing a uniform, but he's necessary to the process.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of predicted this before last game, that he might deserve a game ball for whatever he brought up in that game. And he did 2 really smart things. First of all, the guys have just been talking about it, starting Dwight Howard. It was kind of unclear who the starter would be till about half an hour before tip-off, and Frank was rewarded almost immediately. Dwight, so strong in that first half, ended with a double-double. Very nice job by Dwight Howard. Started only 2 games all season, so for him to jump in there with the series still pretty tight and to have a game like he did, nice job, Dwight. The other thing I liked that Frank Vogel did was the day before Game 3, he said, all right, LeBron needs some more free throws, kind of told his case to the media, also kind of told everyone, hey, we did it the right way. We went through the NBA proper channels, just kind of sent some video clips to them. Keep an eye open, refs. Sure enough, LeBron went from averaging 3 free throws in the first 3 games, hit 14 the other night and made 11 of them. So 2 big moves by Frank Vogel really paid off for the Lakers.
Brez, the guys just dove into this moments ago, did a great job. You want to dive into it a little bit more, rebounding.
Yeah, it was such a big deal after Game 3. And of course it should have been, because Denver was 14th out of the 16 playoff teams in terms of rebounding. Not a strong rebounding bunch. They do a lot of things well, but taking the boards is not one of them. And they got the best of the Lakers in Game 3, but it went right back to the norm in Game 4. There you see it, the Lakers with 51 rebounds, crushed them in second chance points. And the offensive rebounds, Dwight Howard right there. He had 6 in the first half. The Lakers had twice as many as the Nuggets, and especially in the final 2 minutes. They had 3 offensive rebounds that led to 5 Laker points. Some big boards, a lot of them on that offensive end too, Allie.
From the front court to the back court, you got your eye on KCP. What do you have on him?
Yeah, you remember when the NBA went back to Orlando a couple months ago, and you know who was not having a very good time? KCP. He was really struggling in the 6 seeding games he played, shot only 28% from three-point range. And then things somehow got worse when the playoffs started. He was 0 for 9 in that playoff opener against Portland, his worst shooting game ever. I'll tell you what, though, the month of September has been really, really good for KCP. He's been fun to watch in this series, averaging 13.5 points. There you see the numbers, 48% from three-point range. And Allie, I remember you, Peter, and I were talking once the team reassembled in Orlando. If KCP plays good ball, maybe his career best basketball for the next 3 months, the Lakers have a real strong shot at a championship. And he is doing nothing but good things. And of those offensive rebounds I just spoke about, he had one of them in the final 2 minutes, a big tap out up to the top of the key, and the Lakers grabbed it, maintained possession at a very key time of the game.
That's your three-point play. Well done, as always. Brez, do me a favor. Say hello to my fish back there.
Fish, Ellie says hi.
You're the best. We're getting closer to tip-off for Game 5. One more win, and LeBron will punch his 9th trip to the NBA Finals over the last 10 seasons. He will be laser-focused, as usual, tonight. And next on Access, the Lakers have had plenty of highlights in the West Finals.